The World Economic Forum, that wonderful organization that, despite being called the World Economic Forum, doesn't really seem to like the people of this world that much. They celebrated a reduction in human activity during lockdowns, tried to tell you that you would give up all your possessions but somehow still be happy, and when conspiracy theorists accuse them of having a globalist agenda to take over the world, their marketing department doesn't really do a very good job at convincing people otherwise. Now, there was an article in Zero Hedge entitled The Top 10 Creepiest and Most Dystopian Things Pushed by the World Economic Forum, and in this video I'm going to run through all of these 10 things and give you my own thoughts on some of them as well. Number 1. Penetrating governments. Now, in my opinion, Klaus Schwab, the founder of the World Economic Forum, shouldn't be penetrating anything, but he himself basically admitted on camera that the World Economic Forum grooms global leaders from a young age in order to, quote, penetrate government cabinets. He starts off by reeling off a few names.
When I mention now names like Mrs. Merkel, even Vladimir Putin and so on, they all have been young global leaders of the World Economic Forum.
But then he goes on to talk about how he has penetrated half of the Canadian Prime Minister Justin Trudeau's entire cabinet.
We penetrate the cabinets. So yesterday I was at a reception for Prime Minister Trudeau. Half of this cabinet, or even more half of this cabinet, are actually young global leaders of the World Economic Forum.
So basically he is telling us that they sneakily control the world in a creepy German accent. Could it be any more cliche?
Hydra was founded on the belief that humanity could not be trusted with its own freedom. If you try to take that freedom, they resist. Humanity needed to surrender its freedom willingly.
Yep, you will willingly give up everything you own and be happy to live your soy boy lifestyle with your World Economic Forum appointed leaders. No questions asked. Number 2. Mind control using sound waves. There was an article on the World Economic Forum's website entitled Mind Control Using Sound Waves. We ask a scientist how it works. This article was later deleted, and the World Economic Forum deletes a lot of stuff on their social media, as you're going to see later. The article is relatively bland at the start, talking about using sound waves to repair damaged brain tissue and as a cure for Parkinson's and Alzheimer's, but then there is this section. How dystopian could it get? This is not some other commentators asking this question, but a part of their own article. Here's what they say. I can see the day coming where a scientist will be able to control what a person sees in their mind's eye by sending the right waves to the right place in their brain. My guess is that most objections will be similar to those we hear today about subliminal messages in advertisements, only much more vehement. We were going to have hoverboards in the future, but no, it seems the most useful use for this technology that they have thought of is beaming annoying advertisements directly into my brain. I'm going to get seriously annoyed. Imagine, you sit down to relax, maybe you close your eyes a little bit, and you suddenly get this blasting through your head.
Liberty, 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 liberty.
But it gets even more sinister. This technology is not without its risks of misuse. It could be a revolutionary healthcare technology for the sick, or a perfect controlling tool with which the ruthless control the weak. This time though, the control would be more literal. Now, it seems the technology is not a reality yet, but why delete the article? Is Klaus Schwab telling his web support guy, yeah, you know that mind control stuff that we're gonna do? Like, don't tell everyone about that. The funny thing is, after talking about the possible misuse of the technology, the author proposes a solution. Let an unelected quasi-governmental international organization control it. He recommends the European Union, but the EU and the World Economic Forum are basically peas in a pod anyway. Number 3. Pills that contain microchips. Now those pesky conspiracy theorists have been at it again, saying that Bill Gates' Moderna COVID vaccine has microchips in it that send signals through a 5G network. Reuters and other media outlets even released a fact-check report disputing the claim. So it is surprising that the World Economic Forum's PR department, which basically has one job, making them not seem like a Hydra-inspired quasi-governmental shadowy organization bent on taking over the world and enslaving humanity, let this little gem slip through.
FDA approved the first electronic pill, if I can call it like that. So it is basically biological chip that it is in the tablet. And once you take the tablet and dissolves into your stomach, sends a signal that you took the tablet. So imagine the applications of that, compliance. The insurance companies to know that the medicines that patients should take, they do.
That was the CEO of Pfizer at the World Economic Forum in Davos, talking about almost exactly the same thing. Medicines that have microchips in them that send out signals when you take them. And what will happen if you don't take them? Insurance company raises your premium? Or could you be diagnosed as a danger to yourself and sent to an institution? To use the words of the World Economic Forum's own article, how dystopian could it get? Number 4. Lockdowns are quietly improving cities. On February 27, 2001, the World Economic Forum tweeted out that they were deleting a tweet that read, "Lockdowns are quietly improving cities around the world." Yeah, I'm sure the people of Shanghai really agree, after they were locked in their homes, forced to risk falling to their deaths to go outside, having to catch fish out of their window to survive, or getting kidnapped and tied up by creepy-looking police in white suits. Yeah, their city really improved under lockdown. The World Economic Forum's reason for praising lockdowns was the effect they had on the environment. But this message fell flat with the average person who was harmed financially and emotionally by lockdown measures. Despite deleting the video, the World Economic Forum is still praising lockdowns and are trying to normalize them. It's the new normal, remember? Maybe they envision a world like something out of I Am Legend, but the average person doesn't. Number 5. Making pandemic policies permanent. In their video, How Could Our Lives Soon Look?, posted on Twitter, the World Economic Forum outlines the case for making many of the COVID-19 restrictions permanent, like separating workers with plexiglass, wearing masks constantly, and it goes on to advocate dystopian ideas like using a person's heartbeat to ID them, and then asks, which pandemic era changes would you like to see become permanent? I love Zero Hedge's humor here. None. Go away. And all this stuff is part of the signature policy of the World Economic Forum that they immediately started pushing as soon as the pandemic started. Number 6. The Great Reset. The World Economic Forum released a video on the Great Reset, which starts off with another creepy European accent telling us how much of a crisis we're in.
Now is the time to think what history would say about this crisis.
We get people putting on masks, stereotypical let's worry about the environment footage.
And that's why so many are calling for a great reset.
Are they? None of my friends have said anything about a great reset. But anyway, let's continue.
That sounds more like buzzword bingo masking some nefarious plan for world domination. Hands up, this kind of slogan hasn't gone down well.
I love how they have to acknowledge the fact that everyone already thinks the Great Reset is some Illuminati global takeover plan. They know that we know, but do they know that we know that they know that we know?
But see, they don't know that we know that they know.
I guess they do know, since they saw the need to turn off the comments for this video. Actually, there were originally comments, but they went like this. This is terrifying. No one wants a reset or your version of a better world. We don't want this. No one voted for this. The voting ratio on this video proves this point. But you now can't see the voting ratio on this video because YouTube turned off the dislike counter. Number 7. Recalibrating freedom of speech. Listen to Australian e-safety commissioner Julie Inman-Grant talking at the World Economic Forum.
I think we're going to have to think about a recalibration of a whole range of human rights that are playing out online, from freedom of speech to the freedom to, to be free from online violence.
When she says recalibrate, I think she needs those little quotation marks that people do with their fingers, because I think what she really means by recalibrate is to cancel. Then she goes on to talk about online violence, which I have surfed the internet for about 20 years and I've never been physically injured by something that has happened online. But what they're actually doing is equating words with violence, a manipulative way of convincing people to give up their right to free speech online. Number 8. Tracking your clothes. Envision this scene. You've given up your cell phone, you're growing your own crops. For the few things you do buy, you use cash so you are untraceable by the system, but then you realize every item of clothing you wear carries a digital ID so they can track your every move anyway. The World Economic Forum put out a video on digital IDs being added to clothes in order to, wait for it, help the planet. Yep, if in doubt, the planet. Just show us footage of windmills, glaciers, trash in the ocean, and we'll believe it. The video talks about sustainable business models, basically making the argument that we should rent clothes instead of buying them, and the digital IDs will facilitate that. But this just shows how out of touch the World Economic Forum is with the average person. But don't worry, it gets worse. Number 9. Rent everything. Yes, the World Economic Forum thinks that you will own nothing and be happy. And why will you own nothing? Because you will rent everything and it will be delivered to your house by a drone. They even made an entire video explaining that you can indeed rent everything that you need in your life. But I think there's a name for a society where people don't own much personal wealth and they all use the same communal things. It's called communism, and people in those societies are not happy. It is human nature to treasure items that have personal meaning, whether that's your clothes, your tools that you work with, or your favorite book. Do you really want to live in a world where every item in your house has a QR code on it and you have to return it when someone else rents it? Or maybe you've used up your carbon credits for that month and now you can't use your electric kettle anymore, because they're doing that too, developing a system to track people's carbon footprints.
Where are they traveling? How are they traveling? What are they eating? What are they consuming on the platform? So, individual carbon footprint tracker. Stay tuned, we don't have it operational yet, but this is something that we're working on.
Perhaps when your carbon credits run out that month, your mobile wallet, which is implanted in your hand, will stop working, so you can't rent any more things. And that takes me to our final dystopian plan of the World Economic Forum. Number 10. Smartphones implanted into your body. Listen to the CEO of Nokia talking at the World Economic Forum.
2030, I would say that by then, definitely the smartphone as we know it today will not anymore be the usual, kind of the most common interface. Wow. Many of these things will be built directly into our bodies.
They want to have a mini computer inside your head. Since it's Nokia, my main question is, will it have Snake? I haven't played that game since the 90s. I'd love to have another go at it. The World Economic Forum even released a section in one of their reports on implantable technologies. In it, they talk about smart dust. Arrays of full computers with antennas, each much smaller than a grain of sand, can now organize themselves inside the body into as-needed networks to power a whole range of complex internal processes. Yeah, naturally, my main question here is, how dystopian could it get? Alright guys, that is the video. I hope you've enjoyed it. I don't know if the World Economic Forum really is a shadowy organization trying to take over the world, or just an innocent endeavor that Klaus Schwab created for the good of humanity. Let me know in the comments, because unlike the World Economic Forum's YouTube channel, I leave the comments on for my videos. Subscribe if you're new, I'll see you next time. Bye bye.